do what feels right, then own your style. Phillips One Blade, your style made simple. There's always a way to make life better.
A more angle. All right, my bad.
Let's come to
I'm saying I don't know why Good Morning Britain seems to have a level of a more realistic level of reality inside of their their daily shows or whatever. But I mean I don't watch the news anyways. I don't know what they talk about on Good Morning America, but shit, a part of the reason is because all the media in America is bullshit. They don't address nothing that has anything to do with nothing. Let's see, we got.
the quick here.
So can strippers be feminists? This is interesting.
Kate Mansfield. The definition of feminism, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is the advocacy of women's rights on the ground of the equality of the sex.
But really, that's really why I clicked on this, because this is interesting. I'm thinking, why would a stripper be a feminist? Well, there's nothing wrong with feminism from the jump, I guess I wasn't alive at that time, so if women wasn't able to do things, or women wanted to be able to do more things, like I guess, initially it was about voting and just being able to be a normal person outside the house. You know what I'm saying? Basically being able to have say-so power and options outside of your house, your household or whatever. So I definitely believe in that you shouldn't be bound just to your house. That's basically a bondage or slavery or something like that. So after that, where we got into this new space as far as it's a war between the sexes, and men don't hate women, so I don't know where that shit come from. But for these women to be teaching these younger girls about hatred in the first place on any level, that speaks for itself. So this is crazy. I want to see how a stripper could be a feminist. What does that mean? Because you're already a feminist if you out there stripping. If you ask me, you took your options and your choices to the furthest extreme when it comes to being a woman. And not saying that in a disrespectful, but perhaps maybe a little bit more disgraceful, in a manner of disgrace. Let's see.
Sexes, right?
Yeah.
Why should Stacey, like all lap dancers, strippers, whatever, not be free to exercise their right to do whatever they like? Isn't that the purest definition of feminism for a woman, is that she is free to do what she wishes with her body and her life?
No, I don't agree with that, because I think that essentially sex workers and strippers are making their body into a commodity for sale, which I think detracts from other valuable assets that women have.
What about models in magazines?
I think the same. I think that the whole media...
You would ban all models?
No, I think that the way that women are shown and the emphasis we have on sex and on the physical appearance...
Now, this is a thin line, because as a man, no, I don't want no hoe. But what did happen is that so feminism came out, then there was, there was prostitution before feminism, but feminism came out, and I'm speaking as far as like a media standpoint, being able to put this out to the masses, you see what I'm saying? So feminism, and then they was having showgirls and strippers like from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, was a whole different level of what it's ever been before, right? And every decade prior or a decade after, it intensified, you see? So when did women start policing women? Women are supposed to be feminine. Women are not supposed to necessarily be the hard one. You know what I'm saying? This shit is crazy.
of women detracts from true feminism, which is about helping women to understand how to empower themselves, which is what I do as a job, in ways financially, emotionally, without having to take their clothes off.
Cindy Crawford, right? Where...
All right, but look, I'm gonna rewind it, y'all, but I just gotta touch on what she was just saying. It's about teaching women to empower themselves. The most powerful thing that a woman could do is bring life into this world, as well as bring that life up throughout this world to be productive to society. A lot of this stuff that they doing is counterproductive because it's not teaching about procreation. It's really teaching women to compete with men, and women not look. Women cannot compete with men, and men cannot compete with women. What this modern feminism is teaching women is to compete with men on a man's level. There's no teaching that's teaching boys to compete with women on a women level. Women would never be stronger than men, especially in a general setting. It's no competition, and that's what this stuff. That's what this modern movement is teaching women to compete with men, and empowering women to be the most powerful woman. What is what is more powerful than bringing life into this world, and bringing that life up to be a productive individual in this society? Like what?
Are the valuable assets that women have.
What about models in magazines?
I think the same. I think that the whole media...
You would ban all models?
No, I think that the way that women are shown and the emphasis we have on sex and on the physical appearance of women detracts from true feminism, which is about helping women to understand how to empower themselves, which is what I do as a job, in ways financially, emotionally, without having to take their clothes off.
Cindy Crawford, right? Where she doesn't go down the crude sex route. She does very classy pictures,
or the
right?
Victoria's Secret models.
But ultimately is selling her body and how she looks, right? Why is that not feminism? Most people think Cindy Crawford's a perfect example of somebody who's made millions from a very good career as a supermodel.
Yeah, but you can make millions online like I do as a female entrepreneur and a businesswoman without having to degrade yourself and take your clothes off and sell
Cindy Crawford degrade herself then?
I think so on a subtle level, yes. I think that we're bombarded in the media with images of women selling sex, and I think it's wrong. And I think that lots of young girls, we have an ethical responsibility to young women to show them a different pathway. And I think that it's from the dark ages. I think feminism has evolved, and I'm blazing the way in this respect with my clients, where lots of women are in abusive relationships and can't get out for similar reasons. And I think that often as well, sex workers and strippers have been sexually abused in the past, and I think they're acting something out. They're trying to get control and they're trying to get power over men. And I think men are victims as well in this respect. Hi.
Hold on, what she said?
Well, sex workers and strippers have been sexually abused in the past, and I think they're acting something out. They're trying to get control and they're trying to get power over men. And I think men are victims as well in this respect.
Okay. Now, I will begin to agree with her slightly there that, a lot of times that strippers, prostitutes, dancers, whatever you want to call them, a lot of times they do have, a good amount of time they do be having daddy issues. And so it's not, but the crazy thing that she just said was having a power over men. These girls go looking for power to fall up under a lot of times. Now you got these new girls that I'm a boss bitch, and they out there getting their money, and they still be lonely and realize that they, sold they pussy and that no man wants them. You see what I'm saying? After they didn't drug themselves through the mud. But another thing that she was saying here was that those type of girls are out there sourcing for the power from men, when this is obviously what she is doing. You see, she feels as if she's in a position of power to have women up under her, listening to what she has to say and following her commands and movements, so forth and so on, right? That by definition is power. So now that she feels the position of power that she in, she feels as if that she can run that same muck up against men. But the thing is that they speak from more emotion rather than logic.
Hi. Do you agree in any sense that there can be an abusive background to this? I think lots of people will be surprised. You call yourself the ethical stripper. Lots of people will be surprised that something which is seen as the objectification of women and the exploitation of their sexual characteristics can then be perpetrated by women who call themselves feminist. How can that be the case?
Well, I think this kind of word objectification is a bit of a misnomer, because we have to be really careful that we're not confusing things, that we're not conflating women who consent to being objectified and to showing their bodies how they want and to be seen how they want to be seen with unwelcome sexual harassment, right? They're quite like two different things. I don't disagree in terms of...
Although, just to pick up on that, it doesn't stop being objectification just because you've consented to work in that industry, does it?
Absolutely, and that's my point as well. I think that the objectification of women. There is a confusion when somebody's been abused.
All right, now my boy Pierce is not chimed in yet, but before he do, what? This is basically your quote unquote you're innocent until proven guilty, but really you're guilty until proven innocent. And what I mean by that is they're going about it like well, just because a woman is a stripper and men frequent the strip clubs, that all those men are predators and that they are like, no, my nigga, there's rules to this shit. It's like men have money and they're going to go spend their money on sex. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, now there's, you know, in particular situations and stuff that could arrive out of that, but it's like that with everything. Like in every situation, there's variables to where it could go any type of way.
Abused sexually or emotionally, I think it creates a confusion where they don't understand sexual boundaries, and that they start often for women trying to get their power back over men.
I think you're arguing a slightly different point, but Stacey, you respond to the idea that you can be a feminist in an objectification industry.
I just think kind of going straight in and starting to talk about the ways women are abused when we're talking about a job is like the kind of stigma that is part of the problem. So stigmatizing people who work in the industry, stigmatizing women who do consent to being objectified is adding to the problem, and that's how we kind of end up at the end of that, which is women campaigning to get strip clubs shut down, which only ever makes the problem invisible and doesn't actually deal with the causes and what's driving women into the industry in the first place, which can be all sorts of reasons, but it's really demeaning and undermining to just assume that we're all victims, and therefore it just shouldn't.
Now, don't get me wrong, I ain't never gonna date no stripper, never take no stripper serious, and not because I don't think that she has a brain or anything like that, but it's just a man thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want no used goods, and you know, I don't want goods that been on display, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm saying.
Victims, I'm saying.
But it's no shade and no disrespect, because a lot of times those be down to earth girls and, you know, things of that nature, but at the same time, what's done has been done.
Saying that I've personally worked with a lot of women who've been sex workers and strippers, and I know statistically there's a high number of them that have suffered some kind of abuse as a child, whether it's sexual or not, I don't know. But my point is that the whole strip club industry and the whole sex industry, and also the media in many ways is constructed around
you widened it. You, interestingly to me, you widened it to all models, right? Would you widen it to the Formula One grid girls, to the girls who go out at dance tournaments and parade around?
Absolutely, I think
the girls who get boxed. You would get rid of all that.
This bitch is the woman police, and it's crazy because how they talk about how men. Bitch, you worse than men. Truthfully, like what the fuck?
You would deprive. Let me ask a question very precisely.
Mother, woman.
You would want none of those women who do any of those things to have any right to be a feminist exercising their right to do what they want with their bodies.
No, I'm not talking about them specifically. I'm talking about...
I am.
Okay, but as a society...
You just went through that list and went, no, I don't agree with that, don't agree with that. I mean, there's very little you do agree with in terms of a woman's right to do what she wants with her body, it seems to me.
Because I don't agree that it's a conscious decision.
I think there's really another important distinction between 2D media, as in we've suddenly put sex workers and models in the same camp, but they're actually very, very different jobs. So women who are objectified in the media as models, as actresses, people are turned into literally screens and images. That's a form of objectification that doesn't happen to me when I'm a stripper. So when I'm at work in a strip club, I'm talking to customers like I'm talking to one of you now. I can sit and argue about Brexit. If I don't like an interaction with the customer, I can get up and walk away. People massively misunderstand how humanising my job actually is. So to assume that sex work and stripping is the same as modelling, it's really not.
You're also a pole dancer of quite some repute, right? I mean, you're very good at it, right?
Oh, well, I used to be.
I know we've seen pole dancers on talent shows, right? It's now appreciated as an art form. I've seen world-class pole dancers, right, on America's Got Talent, who were dazzling artists. At what point does this all just get under the umbrella, as far as you're concerned, as demeaning, if actually it can be quite artistic too?
Well, I think that, as I said, as a society at large, we are moving towards even worse problems in terms of objectification of women. And I think lots of teenage girls actually are in a lot of trouble through social media. And I've got a 16-year-old son, lots of his female friends feel under a massive amount of pressure to perform sexually as young as 13 and 14 because they feel that they have to live up to this objectified ideal.
You can't lay all that at the blame of lap dancing clubs and a relatively small industry.
I totally agree.
So she's 1,000,000% right, because strip club, I think that the Kardashians and them and people like them have way more of a chokehold on these younger girls than what strip clubs and stuff like that do. Strip clubs, ring girls, F1 girls, you know, any sports girls, cheerleaders and stuff, all that shit is out the window. All these girls want to be porn stars and OnlyFans girls. That, not strippers, you know what I'm saying? Now, strippers do tend to be a segue in bigger cities, but if we look at the internet, they want to be Instagram girls, you know, they want to do stuff like that. Like, strippers is at the bottom of what, or at the middle of the top of the bottom, or at the bottom of the middle is what girls aspire to be as far as being a stripper. So I'm not.
I think the industry
I feel what she's saying, but I don't fully agree with it.
itself is very corrupt and exploitative of men and of women. I think men that go to strip clubs.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're campaigning.
I've got to say, there was Stacey on this. Caitlin, for Woman Wants to Strip Leather. We have male strippers, Magic Mike. Right, we see him. What's the difference, right? Catherine on Twitter, Catherine, feminist, yes they can. Getting grip.
Because I do.
Well, I happen to know because of my experience in the industry. They, as a group, have a different experience of their jobs. It's seen differently and it's done differently. The pay structure is different. The way it's set up, the business model is different. I'm not going to sit and try and argue that there are not problems in my industry. For sure, that's why we set up this thing called the East London Stripper Collective, and that's why I'm campaigning and writing a book about it. But what we need is to change them from within. We need reform. We need to reform this industry by updating it and bringing in some of these feminist points about equality and about women's kind of autonomy.
All right, so like the memes say, first it was just giving them rights, then it was equality, and now they want to be men, you know what I'm saying? If I'm quoting that right, I think I always get it wrong, but she's right that a lot of these feminist ideas, it's not about changing things at the root. It's about making things to make me feel better. You see what I'm saying? So it's really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. I don't think that the modern day feminist movement is progressive at all. I feel like it's retracting, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, they need to crush that. They need to get over that.